Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at some pretty fascinating material you sent over. Excerpts from a conversation about the planet Capella. It's a mix of historical and spiritual ideas. With some intriguing personal stories about mediumship, we'll be exploring what this guru figure has to say about Capella, why its inhabitants were exiled to Earth, and whether we might be facing a similar situation today.
It sounds like we're in for a thought-provoking deep dive,
Yeah,
especially considering the source material you mentioned. Let's break down these complex ideas and see what we can uncover.
exactly. So, let's start with Capella itself. According to Guru, it's a planet located in the Auriga constellation, part of a four-sun system. He describes the Capelans as having been incredibly spiritually advanced, even more so than us here on Earth.
A four-sun system. Can you
Yeah.
imagine the sunsets?
Yeah.
But what's really fascinating here is Guru's claim that everything in the universe, including spiritual and technological advancements, follows a predetermined order and timeline, a universal plan, as he calls it. And according to him, Earth is currently mirroring Capella's historical trajectory.
Now, if we're following this universal plan, does that mean we're destined to repeat the Capelans' mistakes? Or do we have the power to break free from that predetermined path? That's something for you to consider as we dive deeper, because Guru goes on to explain that the Kiplans were eventually exiled to Earth after a devastating event.
Exiled. What could cause a civilization that's supposedly so advanced to be forced from their home planet?
Well, according to Guru, they faced a cataclysmic nuclear disaster, essentially destroying their own planet.
That's where this becomes a cautionary tale, isn't it?
Yeah.
A warning about the potential consequences of unchecked technological advancement without a corresponding focus on spiritual growth. Does Guru give any more context about this nuclear disaster?
He claims that it happened after repeated warnings and attempts by higher spiritual beings to guide them towards a different path. These warnings were ignored, and they ultimately faced the consequences. Guru even suggests that some of the first Egyptians were actually returning Cape lands, a process that took thousands of years.
Thousands of years to recover from a planetary disaster. It really puts our human timescale into perspective, doesn't it? It makes you think about the long-term impact of our actions on a whole different level.
It certainly does. But there's another layer to this Capellan exile story that gets a little controversial. It involves Chico Xavier and Bezerra de Menezes, two prominent figures in Brazilian Spiritism. Guru claims they were somehow involved in triggering the nuclear event on Capela.
That's a very specific and controversial claim. Even within Spiritism, there's no consensus on this. It's important to remember that Guru's interpretation isn't universally accepted. We should approach this information with a healthy dose of skepticism, as with any historical or spiritual account.
Absolutely. Multiple perspectives are important. Now, Guru draws some interesting parallels between Capela's downfall and the current state of affairs on Earth, particularly concerning our own nuclear capabilities. He argues that the reason we haven't had a full-blown nuclear war is because of the sheer number of nuclear weapons that exist, a sort of global deterrent.
It's a chilling thought. But it makes you wonder if that uneasy peace is truly sustainable. Could that very fear, the constant threat of mutually assured destruction, ultimately lead to the disaster Guru is warning us about?
It's a valid question, and Guru doesn't stop there. He even suggests that higher spiritual forces are orchestrating this delicate balance, trying to prevent a Capella-like scenario on Earth. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, as he also introduces the concept of expunging.
Expunging. What does he mean by that?
He describes it as a process where certain spirits from Earth are being sent to a less developed planet as a form of degredo, or exile, essentially a spiritual deportation based on their actions. This expunging idea is fascinating. Guru seems to be saying it's not just about a whole planet being punished, but individuals facing consequences based on their actions. It makes you think what kind of actions would lead to this spiritual degredo. What does this tell us about the potential consequences of our choices? Not just in this life, but perhaps beyond.
It raises some serious questions about personal responsibility and the idea of karmic repercussions. Even on a cosmic scale, if we're to believe this narrative, our actions have far-reaching consequences that extend beyond our immediate understanding.
So how does Guru claim to know about all of this? Where does he get his information? This is where the conversation takes a turn toward the world of mediumship.
Ah, yes, the realm of spiritual communication. This is where Guru's personal experiences and his connection to prominent figures in Spiritism come into play. It's important to remember that mediumship is a complex and often debated topic. While many find it a source of profound insights, others view it with skepticism. Approaching this information with an open mind, yet a critical eye, will be crucial as we explore these accounts.
Absolutely. We should always maintain a healthy balance of open-mindedness and critical thinking. So Guru recounts working with a medium back in the 1990s who received messages from spirits preparing to leave Earth. They were told they were going to a primitive planet, and they weren't happy about it.
Interesting. This account seems to mirror the idea of the Capela exile, but on an individual level. If history is repeating itself, maybe it's not about punishing an entire planet, but about souls facing the consequences of their actions. It makes you wonder if this primitive planet is the same one the Capelans were exiled to initially. Perhaps a cosmic cycle of exile and redemption is at play.
That's a really interesting thought. It adds another layer of complexity to this whole narrative. And this concept of spiritual exile begs the question, what would it take for someone to be subjected to this expunging? What are the criteria for spiritual deportation?
That's a question worth pondering. Unfortunately, the source material doesn't provide concrete answers. However, Guru's emphasis on the importance of aligning spiritual progress with technological advancements suggests that a lack of spiritual awareness, compassion, or ethical conduct could be contributing factors.
Guru doesn't just rely on his own mediumship experiences, though. He also talks about Donna Guiomara Albanese, who founded a well-known Spiritist center in São Paulo. She was close to Chico Xavier, and apparently shared some of his insights with Guru.
Now, for those unfamiliar with Chico Xavier, he's considered one of the most important figures in Brazilian Spiritism. He was a renowned medium who claimed to have communicated with spirits and produced a vast body of writing attributed to them. His life and work are fascinating to explore, regardless of your personal beliefs.
So what did Donna Guiomara reveal about Chico Xavier's experiences?
Well, according to Guru, she mentioned that Chico would discuss life in the deep sea, but only with people he trusted to handle that kind of information. It's almost as if he possessed secret knowledge about underwater civilizations or something.
It makes you wonder if there could be civilizations thriving in the depths of our oceans. What else might we be unaware of? It's a bit mind-blowing to think that there could be entire societies existing beyond our perception, perhaps even more advanced than our own.
The ocean remains one of the most unexplored and mysterious realms on our planet. It's certainly possible that we haven't uncovered all its secrets. And considering Guru's claims about Capela's advanced civilization, the idea of other advanced societies, whether underwater or elsewhere in the cosmos, doesn't seem so far-fetched.
But why all the secrecy? If Chico had this knowledge, why not share it with everyone?
That's a great question. Perhaps he felt that some information was simply too advanced or radical for the general public to grasp. Maybe he believed it could even cause harm or confusion if it fell into the wrong hands.
It's an interesting point. It raises questions about the ethics of knowledge and the responsibility that comes with possessing certain information. It also highlights the concept of spiritual readiness, the idea that we might not be prepared to receive certain truths until we've reached a certain level of spiritual maturity.
It certainly speaks to the idea that knowledge and wisdom are not always meant to be shared freely and openly. Sometimes discernment and discretion are necessary, especially when dealing with concepts that could potentially disrupt established belief systems or even cause societal upheaval.
It's a delicate balance for sure. So we've got this narrative about a planet called Capela, its inhabitants exiled to Earth, the concept of a universal plan guiding our progress, and these intriguing stories about mediumship and hidden knowledge. It's a lot to unpack.
It certainly is, but I think it's important to step back and ask, what does all of this mean for us, here and now? If we accept, even for a moment, the possibility that this Capela story is true, what are the implications for our own lives?
That's the key question, isn't it? It's easy to get caught up in the fascinating details of the narrative, but the real challenge is to connect it to our personal experiences and choices.
Exactly. And perhaps the first step is simply to be open to the possibility that there's more to our reality than what we can see and touch. To consider that there might be forces at play beyond our current understanding, and that our actions might have consequences that extend far beyond our immediate perception.
Right. It's about expanding our awareness, questioning our assumptions, and being willing to explore different perspectives, even if they challenge our current worldview. It's about cultivating a sense of curiosity and wonder about the mysteries of the universe and our place within it.
I think that's a great point. It's not about blindly accepting everything we hear, but about approaching this information with an open mind and a critical eye. Ask yourself, what resonates with you in this story? What makes you think differently about the world and your place in it? What actions, if any, does it inspire you to take?
So you've heard about Capela, its advanced civilization, and the events that led to their exile to Earth. You've considered the concept of a universal plan guiding our progress, and the potential for spiritual degredo based on our choices. You've also delved into the world of mediumship and the possibility of hidden knowledge existing beyond our current understanding.
We've explored Guru's claims, his interpretations, and the potential biases that might be present in his narrative. We've encouraged you to approach this information with both an open mind and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Now let's shift gears a bit and explore some of the implications of this Capella narrative for us here on Earth today. If we entertain the idea that Earth is mirroring Capella's path, are we headed for a similar fate? Are we, with all our technological advancements, neglecting our spiritual growth and heading toward a global catastrophe?
It's a sobering thought, isn't it? And while we can't predict the future, the parallels Guru draws between Capella and Earth, particularly regarding nuclear proliferation, certainly raise some red flags.
He seems particularly concerned about the fact that we're prioritizing technological advancements without a corresponding focus on our spiritual evolution. Almost like we're repeating the mistakes of the Capelans.
Yes, and this brings us back to that concept of the universal plan. If everything follows a predetermined order, including spiritual and technological advancements, does that mean we're powerless to change our course? Are we simply destined to repeat history?
It's a tough question to grapple with. On the one hand, the idea of a predetermined plan might feel disempowering, as if our choices don't really matter. But on the other hand, maybe understanding this universal plan allows us to make more informed choices.
That's a great point. Perhaps knowledge of this plan isn't about resigning ourselves to fate, but rather about understanding the potential consequences of our actions and choosing a different path.
So what would it look like to break free from this potentially destructive cycle? If we're not simply puppets of a predetermined plan, how can we as individuals and as a collective ensure that Earth doesn't suffer the same fate as Capella?
I think Guru offers some clues in his emphasis on spiritual growth. He seems to be suggesting that cultivating qualities like compassion, wisdom, and interconnectedness can help us navigate the challenges we face and potentially avert disaster.
So it's not about abandoning technology or rejecting progress, but about finding a balance. It's about ensuring our spiritual understanding keeps pace with our technological advancements.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we're not just physical beings, but also spiritual beings having a human experience, and that neglecting our spiritual development can have consequences, not just individually, but on a global scale.
This reminds me of something we touched upon earlier, the idea of individual spiritual exile or expunging. If our actions have consequences beyond our understanding, maybe our choices, both big and small, contribute to our collective spiritual trajectory.
That's a thought-provoking concept.
Hmm.
If we take it seriously, it means each of us has a responsibility to cultivate positive qualities and make choices that contribute to a more harmonious and compassionate world.
So what would that look like in practice? How can we, on a daily basis, make choices that reflect this deeper understanding of our interconnectedness and our role in this universal plan?
It might start with simple things. Being more mindful of our thoughts and actions, treating others with kindness and respect, making conscious decisions about how we consume and interact with the world around us.
It's about recognizing that our individual choices are not isolated events, but rather threads that weave into a larger tapestry, and that each thread, no matter how small, contributes to the overall pattern.
Exactly. And perhaps by consciously choosing threads of compassion, understanding, and wisdom, we can help create a more beautiful and resilient tapestry, one that can withstand the challenges we face and guide us towards a brighter future.
This deep dive into the Capella narrative has certainly given us a lot to think about. From exiled civilizations to nuclear disasters and the concept of a universal plan, it challenges us to reconsider our place in the cosmos and the potential consequences of our choices.
It encourages us to explore the world beyond our immediate perception, to consider the power of mediumship and the possibility of hidden knowledge.
And most importantly, it invites us to reflect on our own spiritual growth and the role we each play in shaping the future of our planet.
So as we conclude this deep dive, we invite you to sit with these ideas. Explore the works of Chico Xavier and Edgar Armand as Guru suggested. Consider the parallels between Capella's past and Earth's present.
Ask yourself, do you believe in a universal plan? If so, what is your role in it? And what choices can you make today to steer towards a brighter future, both for yourself and for humanity?
Remember, even small acts of kindness, compassion, and understanding can have a ripple effect. We are all interconnected, and our individual journeys contribute to the collective evolution of our species.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the mysteries of Capella and its implications for our world today. We hope it sparked your curiosity and inspired you to explore further.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep striving to make a positive difference in the world.